The Green Bay Packers are in for an absolutely monumental, huge game this week. Did I say huge? Huge game this week. To say this game is huge would be a total understatement. I mean, especially after the loss in the playoffs of the 49ers last year, they need to win this game. The 49ers right now are 5-5, Packers is 7-3. If the Packers get this win, they'll be 8-3. San Francisco will be 5-6, and again out of the playoff race, and that's huge. For the Packers not to have to play the 49ers in the playoffs will be huge. Now, yes, there are other teams in the NFL that the Packers would have to worry about should they make the playoffs, but not having to face the 49ers would be a huge boon for them, especially in this year. It seems like it's a retooling year for the 49ers. It really does. It really feels like for the 49ers that last year was their best chance. And it really seems like that. I mean, they lost a bunch of guys over the offseason. Dre Greenlaw is still out, which seemingly he's nowhere close to returning. Or Nick Bosa got injured last week with an oblique injury, which could force him out of this game. Or Trent Williams, their lead or offensive blocker, is dealing with an ankle injury, which is huge as well. They may get Charvarius Ward back, which will be huge for their defense, but all the things are lining up for the Packers to win this week. They really are. We're going to go through top to bottom like we always do, but let me know what you think down in the comments below, and let's get to it. The Packers, again, need to win this game. Need to win this game big time. The 49ers are reeling. Like I said, Nick Bosa dealing with the oblique, Trent Williams dealing with the ankle. Hell, if I'm being 100% honest, I think they both play just to say F you to the Packers. It's just the way they are. It's the way this 49ers team is. They hate the Packers. Even though, again, the 49ers haven't won anything in forever. And, but... And also Brock Purdy's dealing with a shoulder injury. I do believe Brock Purdy will play. I mean, I'd find it hard to believe for him not to play. But it just seems like for Nick Bosa, the oblique injury sounds pretty serious. And it's just one of those injuries that something you don't mess with. It could be a chronic issue. And for a guy like Nick Bosa that uses speed and explosiveness as a means to sack quarterbacks and, break up plays and stuff like that, him not being out there would be huge for the Finers. But like I said, I think he's most likely to play. Christian McCaffrey, again, I've talked about him before. He probably goes for over 100 yards in this game, just because it's just the way the Packers are against the 49ers. But I will give the Packers credit. They have done better against the run. Sure, they got beat by Caleb Williams last week, but other than that big play to DeAndre Swift that ended up in a touchdown, the Packers held the Bears to, were pretty good against the run, all things considered. So maybe they're improving. It just doesn't look like it at times for the Packers. It never really looked great. They never seem to get a full win. And if they were to get a full win this week, this would definitely be the time to do it. The 49ers are reeling. They lost again to a team they should have beaten. They're 0-3 in the division right now. That's really bad for them. They need every win possible. I mean, they're 5-5. I mean, they're still close enough to the playoff race to say that they have a really decent shot to make it. But man, they keep taking losses, especially NFC losses. It's not going to bode well to their postseason success or any postseason success at all. Now, again, I don't think Shanahan is anywhere near in danger of losing his job, but I mean, after making it to the playoffs the last several years and going to the Super Bowl twice, and then for them to come back and not make the playoffs this year, a couple more bad years like this, and Kyle Shanahan will be out. He will be out. There's only so much that 49ers are willing to take. I mean, they expect success. And those fans have not had a fully successful season since '94, when Steve Young had arguably the greatest Super Bowl performance you will ever see. I mean, 6 touchdowns. Can't really get much better than that. But let's talk more about the Packers. We talked enough about the 49ers, but they're still the 49ers, and even though they've struggled this year, As long as Christian McCaffrey's on that field, as long as they're playing the Packers, they have a really good chance to win. But the Packers, big thing for them, again, cut down on the turnovers. That's the biggest thing for them. Jordan Love has to get better and not throwing interceptions. Can we all put this in perspective? I mean, look at... I saw a chart the other day. Look at Jordan Love. 7-3, about 15 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes, 9-1, all the same amount of touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Geno Smith, 5-5, 11 interception as well. The best quarterbacks in the league throw a lot of interceptions. They just do. I know Love needs to make better decisions out there for sure, but when you're a gunslinger, like Jordan Love is definitely turning into, he's becoming more like Brett Favre on a daily basis, mistakes are going to be made. When you're going all out, trying to win the game by passing the ball down the field, things are going to happen. Now, the kind of interceptions he's had the last couple of weeks definitely need to change. I mean, that overthrow of Tucker Kraft was awful. Just awful. You can't do that. You just can't. I believe in Jordan Love that he will get things right. In the long run, the Packers will be good for the playoffs and ready to go for a great run. Maybe a potential Super Bowl appearance. But the thing that's going to derail them is if he keeps throwing interceptions at this pace. You know, it'd be nice for him to have a nice clean game, and maybe it can be this week because, like I said, the 49ers could be missing Nick Bosa, even though, like I said, I think he will still probably play just because, you know, FU the Packers. The return of Jaire could be huge for them as well. But really, their defense hasn't been all that great. I mean, at times they've looked good, but they're like a lot of teams. They have a couple of really good quarters, but then their defense gets started and they slowly fall apart. That was another example of last week. The 49ers looked, they were like totally dominating the Seahawks, but Seahawks just kept in there, and eventually they made their move and they won the game. That's just the way the 49ers defense has been all year. They have good pieces all over the field on the defense. They just can't seem to put together a full game. They haven't done that for a while. 49ers, they can put a good defense performance together, have a really good chance to win this week, but that hasn't been the case. And for the Packers, if they're going to play like they have offensively last week, it could be a loss for sure. But if they do like what they did against Jacksonville, do what they did against Houston, Arizona for sure, then they have a really good chance to win. Another thing keeping the Packers back from potentially winning is the drops by the wide receivers. I saw an important stat this week that the Packers lead the league in pass protection, which is pretty amazing. But the caveat of that is the Packers receiving core is 22nd. Yikes. That's really bad. It certainly needs to improve. The wide receiving core is just not as good as it has been in the past. And mainly it's because of the balls dropping, the bad routes at times. But I think this team still has it in them. If Christian Watson can continue to build on his performance from last week, that can only mean good things for the Packers. If Jaden Reed can keep going, which he really hasn't had a big game lately the past couple weeks, so it would be nice to him to get off the stride. Tucker Kraft, not his fault last week. That would have been a touchdown was a total overthrow by Jordan Love, and if he catches that, he has a touchdown and, you know, at least one catch. He didn't have any catches at all last week. Romeo Doubs is definitely a reliable wide receiver for the most part, but he too has been definitely afflicted by the drops this year. And also, if Josh Jacobs can continue to get balls in the backfield and short passes like he had been last week, that's certainly a boon for the Packers as well. Again, it all comes down to Jordan Love because he's made every game he plays, he makes really good throws. He also makes bad throws, but that's just the way it is for every quarterback. The thing is, you need to make more good throws than bad throws. But then that's like in everything. You do more good than bad, you're more likely to win. And for Jordan Love, if he can if he can go through a game without an interception, I find it hard to believe that the Packers lose. It's just because Brock Purdy, for as good as he's been all year, he's been kind of a turnover machine as well. He had an absolutely terrible interception last week that was bobbled and popped right into the defensive line of the Seahawks, and which led to them scoring a touchdown. Well, actually, it turned into a field goal, but still, it was a really bad interception that never should have been thrown. To be honest, frankly, should have taken a sack. But Brock Purdy hasn't been all that great. He's been good at times, but also his turnovers has been up as well. But the Packers, if their defense can perform like they have been in the past, I mean, last week wasn't that great. They got eaten alive by K. Williams. Rome Odunze ate them alive. I mean, if they can get some pass rush going, for God's sakes, why is it so hard to get a consistent pass rush for this team? Jeff Hafley was supposed to just be great with a pass rushing team. He's all about the blitzing. But what's the point of blitzing all the time if you don't get to the quarterback and the quarterback runs for 7 to 8 yards every time? It's hard to win that way. Now, the Packers certainly got lucky last week by the blocked kick, but I mean, was it really luck or was it just a really good play? Frankly, I think it was a really good play because it's really hard to get a block. Sure, it happened 2 weeks in a row, but the kind of block that was necessary was just a really good play. But the Packers, they have all the things needed for a successful team. Sure, Jaire Alexander's hurt. Tore his PCL. Who knows when he'll return? It's starting to look like that contract for him was not really good. Jordan Morgan on IR now, so that certainly is a big loss in the offensive line. I mean, you still got Josh Myers out there, and he's just kind of, you never know what you're going to get from him on a week-to-week basis. But for the most part, the Packers are really healthy for the most part. Edgerrin Cooper hurt his hamstring in practice today, I believe, so hopefully we'll see how he progresses through the next couple of days, and if he's able to play, that will be huge for him to be in there because he's been definitely getting better and better, getting more tackles again, and bring him up every game. But Quay Walker, man, he's playing himself out of a contract next year with the Packers. I expect Quay Walker to be on another team next year. I expect Eric Stokes to be on a different team next year. So far, I mean, after this year, the whole 2022 class could be gone from the Packers, which is really bad. A lot of the Packers draft classes of the last couple of years they're really empty classes looking back at it, but Packers have the recipe. They still do have good wide receivers that haven't performed, but they should be able to attack this 49ers secondary. I mean, if you can get past Nick Bosa and the defensive line, the 49ers are certainly a little softer around the belly when it comes to the secondary. Nick Bosa has a shot to play, and like I said, I think he will play in this game. Same thing with Trent Williams, just because that's just who Trent Williams is. He always plays through the pain, and if Trent Williams is not out there, that offensive line is mondo down. But I think the Packers win, ultimately. Packers win. Packers win 24-21. It's going to be close, but again, if Jordan Love can keep the turnovers down and frankly have a clean sheet, I like their chances. I really love their chances. I know people are going to say the 49ers are going to win. 49ers should be favored, but no, the Packers are still the better team because of all the injuries that the 49ers have. It's in Green Bay. That crowd is going to be rocking, and the Packers have revenge on the mind for sure. The Packers are going to play well this week, because especially after the embarrassment that was last week, and sure, even though they won, they need to clean up a lot. And if the Packers can win this week, 8-3, or through week 12 would be a great milestone for them so far this year, because after that, the schedule kind of softens up. I mean, yes, you got Miami in Green Bay, so probably should win that game. And they got Detroit in Detroit, so that's kind of a tougher proposition. You still got the Seahawks in Seattle, so we'll see what happens. And they don't really have the same home field advantage that they have in the past. They still got the Saints coming up, so theoretically that should be a win. It's in Green Bay, that game, I believe, in Minnesota, so we'll see what we get when we get to there. It's still a couple weeks away. And then Chicago at home to end the season. Packers have all the pieces needed to win the game this week, and I think they do. And it's not going to be a dominant win, but they're going to look good doing it. The 49ers are going to be 5-6, and again, wondering if they can actually make the playoffs, because, I mean, looking at the NFC right now, they still have to play Arizona again. They still have to play LA again, and I still think that one more game against Seattle. Let me know if I'm wrong down in the comments below. But yeah, 49ers still have a tough schedule coming up, and a lot tougher than we would have thought going into the season. But Packers win this game, and Packers fans rejoice once again. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Have a great day, and as always, go Pack Go, and God bless.